TitleMatchNetwork.com.
Welcome to another edition of the RF Video Shoot interview series. Today we're joined by the one and only, the legendary Nature Boy Ric Flair. Thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you.
It's an honor and privilege to be seated with you.
Thank you very much.
There's a lot of stuff to talk about, so I'm just going to start off in 2009 when you left the WWE. And you went over to TNA.
2008.
2008, okay. You went to work a little bit with Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff for the Australian shows.
Yes.
What was that like, working with Hulk Hogan?
We buried the axe. Had a good time. You know, we never got along business-wise. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I've always thought he was a great guy. But, you know, Hulk had to win. I had to lose. That was the deal.
Right.
It's okay. I'm good at losing. I can make myself look better losing than most guys can winning. So it was okay.
Now, obviously, you had some problems with Eric dating back to WCW. Did you trust Hulk and Eric Bischoff, and how did that whole entire deal come about as far as, like, break it down?
Hulk just called me and said they wanted to do this deal in Australia, and I said, yeah, I'd love to. And Eric was part of it, and we had a great time. You know, I love Eric. I love his wife. We just, you know, you always have disagreements in business, and that's the extent of it. They're both really nice people, and Hulk's a great guy. He's been through so much. I feel so bad for him. My God, I love him to death, but he's been through a world of crap with his ex-wife and just stupid mistakes he's made. But he's an awesome guy, and he's had huge health issues, which I'm very sensitive to because I haven't had any. So
right. Now, a lot of people were very shocked to see you do business with Eric. Like, at what point did you and Eric sit down and pretty much put your beef to the side?
we never did.
You never did? It was just all business?
We just shook hands and went forward. I don't dwell on the past, and I had a good time with those guys. It was actually like my honeymoon with my fourth wife, who's now gone. But we had a great time, man. Awesome.
You guys were supposed to do
You can't text and talk to me. Okay?
I'm not texting. I'm looking at my notes. I have other notes. So. You guys were supposed to do a bunch of shows in Australia. What happened with that?
We did 5 shows.
5 shows? Was
in
there
14 days.
Was there any long-term plans after that, or was that pretty much it?
That was it.
That was it.
Yeah, it was a 5. We did Sydney twice, Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth, and came back home and had a ball.
How did you wind up in TNA shortly after that? How did that come about?
Hulk called me and said, let's do TNA. And I went, God, I'm not sure about that. And so I called Vince, you know, because I'm loyal to Vince. And he said, you know, I can't tell you no, but I wouldn't do it, you know. And he didn't mean it with any disrespect to anybody, but, like, you know, I've been in a place that's 2 Hall of Fame rings, you know what I mean? And TNA was great. The easiest job I ever had. You know, Dixie Carter is a great person, and she's great. But Dixie has people working for her that don't know what they're doing. That's in black and white. I mean, right. The whole world knows that.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
What were your initial impressions of Dixie Carter when you first met her?
Awesome. Dixie's awesome. She's very nice.
Did you ever feel that she was in over her head at any point in time when you were there?
I felt like she was in over her head the whole time she was there.
Right.
Because she's letting people that don't understand wrestling and run her life. And that's, you know, but that's okay. I mean, it's her life. She has the money. Her dad, Bob Carter's a great guy. I got along with all of them.
Did you give Vince an opportunity to match your offer before you went to TNA, or was that not even an option for you?
Well, it wasn't really an option because I had carved out these deals with the lottery. You know, I do 4 lottery tickets for Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, and you know, my lawyer who you spoke to, Melinda, carved all that out, and for Vince that would be difficult because, you know, he wants to be in control of the ship, you know, and you know what, he should be. He's a man.
Do you think that when you got out there and you started teaming up with managing AJ Styles, do you think that he embraced the role as much as he could have with you?
Yes. Yeah, he's a great kid.
I was going to ask you, what are your thoughts?
With a lot of talent. Great. AJ's he's a great kid with a lot of talent.
You were also working with Vince Russo once again.
Yeah.
In TNA. What are your thoughts on Vince?
I actually, whenever we talked about burying the hatchet, we just got along. He treated me great.
No problems with him?
None at all. No.
far as TNA goes, they also did a lot of managing with you and Beer Money. They put you with Beer Money.
Love those kids.
Memories of working with those guys.
James Storms and Bobby Roode, I love those kids. They have so much talent.
Especially Bobby.
Yeah, well, not James too. But
Right.
James is a very charismatic guy. Bobby's awesome. I mean, what's not to like? I love hanging around with the kids. You know that, right? The kids make my life rock and roll.
For TNA, were you there to make a difference in the company, or for you, was it pretty much just another payday? Did you look at it as...
Well, I wasn't sure. I mean, I thought my presence made a difference in the company, but, you know, it's funny that what I'm saying to you is that the management, not Dixie, but didn't appreciate who I was, you know. I mean, it was a last-day battle for me to get released, to go get my second ring.
I'm going to talk about that.
They held me up on that deal, man. I didn't know I was even could go because WWE wanted to put me on the screen and talk and all that. And WWE even agreed to say I was with TNA, but they were hanging me out to dry. So that's one of the reasons I left.
Right.
But after that day, I went, this is like ridiculous. Two-time Hall of Famer, you know, what the fuck? No, I'm sorry, my language.
Right,
No, I mean, it's where I'm at, you know. Nobody else has that.
When you went to TNA, did you feel that it was a step down for you at all?
No.
No. Okay.
Because I didn't know where they were at. And I don't think I just stepped down ever because I like the guys there so much that, and the guys have a lot of talent. I mean, why would it be a step down? I just like being on TV. I like, you know, I like working. I like being in wrestling. So.
What are your memories with your program with Hulk in the beginning of your TNA run?
I thought it was great. Yeah, I just.
Do you think it was hot-shotted, or do you think they didn't give enough time, or?
No, I think that they dive into things not thinking it out. You know, because Hulk and I could have gone forever, but you know, Hulk wanted to be a bad guy, and I go, God, you're never going to be a bad guy. I've proved that over the years 10 times. You know, they're never going to hate Hulk Hogan. He is who he is.
As far as the management goes in TNA, who were some of the guys that you might not have got along with? As far as, was it writers that pretty much didn't?
No, it's not writers. It's one guy that works. And I can't think of his name. I will tell you.
Okay.
One guy that worked for the office in Nashville. He just he's a country western guy and doesn't understand wrestling, and he's managing the company. I can't think of his name. I would tell you if I had it.
At any time, you know, I always hear a lot of different things with Dixie Carter. And did any time any of the boys try to smarten her up and say, hey, you got to compete with Vince, you got to do this instead of doing that? Did anybody, was she approachable to be able to talk to?
I told her what she needed to do, but it went in one ear out the other.
Right. What are some of the things that you might have told Dixie that she needed to do to maybe compete with WWE?
Well, with TNA and the house shows, they have all the guys that are working with each other sign autographs for an hour before the show, right? I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like a carnival.
Do you think that takes away a little bit from the
Yeah,
prestige?
I know it does. You think Vince would ever do that?
Absolutely not.
I mean, Vince, you know, protects his talent. That's why they're superstars, right? You're not a superstar sitting outside at 5 o'clock in the afternoon signing autographs, all the guys that are wrestling each other, and then they do this thing at halftime or intermission where you sign more autographs, right? And then after the show, they actually had the nerve to ask me one time to take pictures for $25 a piece for an hour after the show. I said, what? Give me a break. I don't do that. I actually told him, I said, when I told the guy that does that, I can't think of his name now, when Undertaker and Shawn Michaels and Triple H do this, I'll do it.
Right.
Yeah, they were trying to get me to sit out in the ring after the show and sign autographs and take pictures for an hour.
Wow.
Hello.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, after retiring in WWE, you pretty much said that you were done in the ring as far as wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
When you went over to TNA, did you have the idea in mind? Obviously, you love the business and you always want to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Was it your idea to get back in the ring, or was that the Office TNA?
It was there.
It was,
yeah.
Okay, and you were all for it?
I was all for it. Yeah, God, I love working.
Did you feel that kind of?
But I need time to get in shape. You know, one week I'm working, the next week, you know, it's like it's like, you know, you have to work out every day and stay in shape. I'm not cosmetically gifted as I used to be. It's not about wrestling ability. I could wrestle tomorrow.
Right.
But the business is very cosmetic now, as you know. So
Did you feel getting back in the ring was maybe a slap in the face to what you did in WWE as far as that Monday on TV, how you did the big ceremony and send off?
no, I never thought of it like that. I mean, I asked permission from Vince. He said, do what you got to do. No, I mean, nothing's going to follow that. And my 2008 retirement with Sean and did the thing on Raw. But, he understands that I like wrestling. And then he gets that I sat home for a year and a half, bored as hell, getting paid. But I got bored. I mean, I'm not used to sitting home.
When you first heard about TNA competing with WWE as far as the Monday Night Raw and going head to head with TNA,
Mm-hmm.
what were your thoughts on it? Did you think Dixie had a chance?
I said, don't go there. I said, don't go there, Dixie. I mean, I was honest with her. I said, it's like now they're making live TV, right? And the ratings haven't budged. It's why would they spend the money to make live TV on Thursday night? We used to tape it, but it is what it is. Are they still making live TV on Thursday night?
Yeah, now they are, and they're actually doing it they're getting away from Orlando and taking it on the road a little bit more.
Oh, good, awesome.
Yeah, because I think WWE is now moving to Tampa, and they're going to start doing some live stuff on Thursday, so I think that's why.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
Plus, they're building a Hall of Fame there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, as far as you hear all the time that Hawk and Eric are working Dixie Carter. What are your opinions on that statement? A lot of people say that they're pretty much calling all the shots and taking Dixie for all she's worth.
I would find that hard to believe, because even though Dixie's such a nice person, she's smart, and she's not going to be someone that's going to ever be taken advantage of. I don't think Hulk and Eric would be in that place. I feel like they're both very honest guys.
As far as with Eric and Bellator, did you ever hear anything regarding maybe Eric coming in and taking over TNA's time slot and switching companies with those guys?
Who?
Bellator, it's a shoot MMA company.
I never heard that, no.
Regarding Eric Bischoff, how has he changed as a leader since his WCW days? You worked with him a lot in WCW. Has he evolved a lot?
He's humbled. He went through a lot with and actually then the little run he had with WWE, which I was surprised if Vince ever hired him, but you saw I ended up.
Right. You knew
in a garbage truck. I mean, that, Vince was always going to cover himself, and he should. I mean, Eric tried to trash him and tried to kill his company. So Eric had a good run there, but because Vince is all about money and making money, nothing's personal. But at the end of the day, he's going to have his way.
TNA, they always would go ahead and hire a WWE guy that recently would get released, and then they'd get him involved in a program right away with TNA. And sometimes the WWE guys would go over. Did you think that was good for business, or did you feel that maybe they needed to be mixed in with a little bit more with the TNA talent? That way it doesn't look like WWE was a little bit stronger than the company?
No, I think guys need to work, and I think that both TNA and WWE would say that, it's fair that, we're what we call independent contractors.
No, I'm saying as far as when they would come over to the company from WWE, like a talent would get released from Vince, and then Dixie would pick that talent up, and right away they would go over on TNA talent. Do you think that was good for business as far as making the WWE talent seem a little bit stronger than, the TNA talent?
I actually wasn't aware of that.
Okay.
I didn't. I'll be honest with you. I didn't look at it like that. I look at it like guys having a good job.
Memories of working with Abyss.
To this, I like the kid. He's okay, but they weren't my best matches.
Different style, right?
Yeah,
Memories of wrestling with Mick Foley.
love that. Foley and I were at war for years, but down there we made music. We patched it, and we actually at WrestleMania 20 in New York. It was Foley and The Rock against me, Batista, and Randy Orton. We stole the show. I don't know if you remember seeing it or not.
I remember.
Yeah, and then Foley and I had that what do we have down there? We had that.
You had the angle, I think, with the Hall of Fame ring, right?
No, not that. That was the Abyss.
Okay.
Yeah, the angle with me and Foley was another. What they call street fight. Take them out, ride over them, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
What was the original heat with you and Mick? What did that stem from?
Because they thought I booked them badly when I was the booker at WCW. I was never the booker. Bischoff was.
Right.
He just put the heat on me.
Did you see a lot of, I guess when Foley was start in WCW back in the early '90s? Did you see his potential, or did you see him as one of those guys like a lot of people write in their books? He's just a guy that takes 6 bumps to get cheap heat.
I didn't look at him like that. I thought he had a lot of potential, but I mean, he got mad because I called him a glorified stuntman in my book.
Right.
But Mick's a good guy, but he could beat anybody if he had to. He's too nice. Mick is like, he comes across as this character on TV that's a badass. Mick is the nicest guy in the world.
Let's talk about managing Kazarian. Whose idea was that? TNA office.
Yeah. I love Kazarian.
Good talent.
Great talent.
They formed the stable there, Fortune, as well.
Mm-hmm.
Whose idea was that? Did you have any?
No, that wasn't my idea at all.
Okay.
I actually think it was James Storm, if I'm correct. Yeah.
Did you ever push to wrestle more in TNA, or were you happy pretty much just being a mouthpiece for some of the guys?
No, I was happy to be a mouthpiece. I love wrestling, but I mean, it's just what happened is like the highest rating they ever had was they wrestling the little black guy that's so nice. Jay Lethal. That got the highest rating they've ever had. But not just having fun, man. And he's an awesome kid.
Yes, he is.
They fired him.
I know.
What the hell?
Why do you think that was?
I have no idea.
Did you ever go to bat for him at all, or when you found that out?
No, I'm past going to bat.
Right.
I just thought, what a loss. He's such a nice kid.
What were your impressions of his impression of you?
He loves me. God, he does my interviews better than I do. He can do my interviews better than I could do them.
When you first saw him do it, did you pop pretty big?
Yeah, huge. Yeah.
Was there any talk about doing a match with you and Shane Douglas in ECW when they did the ECW theme show in TNA? Was there? Because they did that,
No. I wouldn't wrestle Shane Douglas for $1 million. Who is he? I mean, let's get serious. Who is Shane Douglas? He's a clerk at Kmart now, or Walmart. Please. The guy that was going to be a doctor, good Lord. He's got more heat with the guys in this business than anybody I've ever met in my life. He cracked on the Click, with all those guys. Are you kidding me? Cracked on Vince. Where's he now? He's a checkout boy at the Walmart. Good Lord. I said that, Shane. Woo! God, he's obnoxious.
Now he's running shows in Philadelphia and doing Extreme Rising. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I'm not aware of it.
Okay.
Why would I be?
What are your thoughts on when Shane used to cut the promos? Did you ever watch ECW TV at all back in the 90s at all?
No.
I'm sure you're aware of when he would cut promos on.
Of course,
channel.
yeah.
Right.
But I could care less. Who is he?
Do you feel he's just trying to get the big rub off of your name?
Obviously.
There was a lot of rumors when you were with TNA that Paul Heyman was going to come into the company.
Mm-hmm.
When you first heard about that, what was your opinion on Paul Heyman coming into the company?
I was hoping he would. I like Paul.
Okay.
Paul's a smart guy. He's back with WWE now, so
right.
I mean, I don't know what ever happens when he gets in trouble with them. It's not my business, but he comes and goes. But Paul's a very smart guy. It is what it is.
What are your early memories of Paul Heyman from WCW days? Even NWA, actually.
I just always liked him. He's a good kid. I mean, what's wrong with that? He's not a kid anymore, but he's a nice guy, and I always thought he was awesome.
Do you think that Paul could have been very successful in TNA, or do you think people above him would not have let him have full reign of the company?
Paul?
Yeah.
The reason he didn't come is because they wouldn't give him control.
Right.
I don't blame him. Why have some look over your shoulder that has no experience when you got Paul Heyman, who's made a company successful, made money, been successful, and now he's back with WWE. So Paul's done something right in his life.
Are you surprised that Dixie Carter or even Vince never did an all-out WCW revival show? There's a lot of ECW shows where they bring back the ECW guys, but there's never really been a WCW revival show. Why is that? What is your opinion?
I mean, I have no idea. Tell me what you're talking about now.
You know, WWE did One Night Stand, where they brought back all the ECW guys for a pay-per-view. Dixie Carter, TNA, they did a couple of ECW-style themed pay-per-views with ECW guys, but nobody's ever really done a WCW revival, like bringing back all the WCW guys, the top WCW guys, and do a WCW themed show.
I would tell you, I have no idea. I mean, I'm not even internet literate, so I don't know what's going on. I just go to have fun with the kids.
I don't know if you want to answer this. What happened in Europe with the bus when you wouldn't get on the bus? Was that over?
No, I'll answer that question.
Okay.
Very simple. I worked for WWE my whole life, right? And so I go to Europe, thinking I can get a draw. It's called getting a draw, right?
Right.
And I had my wife with me, and I go to over there. I'm not going to mention the guy's name. I don't want to bury him. I said, I need a draw. He says, we don't give draws. I said, what do you mean don't give draws? What are we supposed to do? Spend our own money over here? Taking a draw against my guarantee, right? Like Vince does. I have been with WWE in Europe, and I took a $10,000 draw one night. I mean, it's in my contract, right? I mean, as long as in the bounds of my contract, those guys, I asked them for $500, and they went crazy. And I said, you know what, guys? See you when I see you. Then they tried to put the heat on me.
Right.
They said you didn't have the money to get there. I was at the town the next day. I just didn't go to Munich. I had money to get there, but if you can't ask for a draw. I mean, TNA puts. This is the God's honest truth. It's so sad. They make the kids double up in rooms.
I've heard.
Yeah, it's absolutely humiliating. I mean, that is the worst snow. When I heard that, I got there and I go, where are you guys standing at? They said, we're staying together. I said, what do you mean staying together? They're staying in the same room. They won't pay for their rooms.
It makes no sense, especially with all the money.
When you work for Vince McMahon in WWE, you come back from a house show, there's enough food to feed China for a year, right? These guys would come back, they got pizza, and I mean, I just wasn't used to it. I didn't get it.
Why do you feel also with the house show business for TNA, they never really promoted their house show business the way they should have, and they had all the star power, but they never had the promotion behind it.
That's why I left. They wanted me to do these house shows without advertising me.
It makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
And why is that? Why do you think nobody...
I don't know. I mean, I can't answer that question because I don't know the answer, but that's why I quit. I said, see you when I see you. I'm not going to Louisiana for 3 days. I wasn't even on the website. My lawyer to look up the website and say, you're not even advertised, Rick. Why would I go there? What a waste of my time. And you know what? What made me so mad, and I want him to know it, is Bruce Pritchard promised me, and Bruce and I are like this, that if I went to a house show again, I'd be advertised, main event, not wrestling, main event of the show. And then they called me one day and said, you're going to Louisiana? I said, really? I'll see you when I see you. That was it.
What are your thoughts on Bruce Pritchard?
I love Bruce Pritchard. He's phenomenal. He's had to battle cancer himself and his wife. Bruce and I will be close forever. But I mean, Bruce has got a job. He's got to earn money. And money speaks sometimes louder than friendship. I get it.
When Bruce came into the company to take over for Vince Russo, did you feel the company was going to change directions for the better, or did you think the powers that be, maybe Bischoff and Hogan and Bruce would butt heads?
I thought for sure that Bruce would have the influence to change, but it didn't. And it wasn't about Bischoff and Hogan. It's they have some drama behind the scenes that overrule bookers, personalities, everybody else. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's a really great place to work, easy. I mean, I love the accommodations, took care of me. But, I thought Bruce, with the influence he has with WWE and all that, and Bruce has bounced back a couple of times, back and forth with WWE too. I don't know why.
Right.
It's kind of like Heyman, right?
Right.
But I mean, look at Bruce Pritchard, the talent he brought to the company. So I figured Bruce would actually change it around. Watch. 0. But I trusted him.
Getting back to the house show business, isn't it like incredible that you think about like all the talent that is there, veterans in the business that have never taken Dixie? I'm sure they have, but she has never changed and listened to their opinions or ideas. Isn't that insane to you?
It's more than insane, but I'm not gonna bear anybody. They're just stuck in this groove, and they do what they want to do. But it's actually humiliating to be out there before the show starts with the guys you're wrestling against sign autographs.
Goes the business too.
It kills the business.
Yeah.
Vince would never do that. Superstars, right? Hard to get to, non-accessible. There, it's like, for free. I mean, I don't get it. No, it's not free because they charge money for all that, but it's humiliating.
Well, actually, I didn't know if you knew this. WWE actually just started a month ago. They're doing $600 packages where you pay $600 and you get to go backstage and meet some of the superstars. But it's going to be a totally different direction.
Yeah, backstage.
Right.
You're not out in the public in the lobby of the building you're working in.
Right.
Yeah, backstage I get,
What are your memories of working with Sting in TNA?
Oh, the best. Love that kid.
What are your memories of working with Sting back in WCW? I don't want to digress too much because we are going to do other DVDs in the future with you, and we'll talk about. But what are your memories of briefly working with Sting back in WCW and really helping him?
I love it. He's the best. He's one of the best people I've ever met in my life. He's like Steamboat. What's not to like?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Terry Taylor was also involved behind the scenes in TNA.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any interaction with Terry at all? Or?
But Terry and I are very close friends. I never understood why they fired him. And the sad thing is, this is the kind of stuff that makes you roll over. They fired him 2 days before his wife died. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
And then they all came to the funeral. Let me think about that.
Yes.
They fired Terry Taylor. I don't know why. Maybe they had good reasons, maybe they didn't. But his wife's dying of cancer, right? And she dies. And then all of TNA showed up at the funeral. I mean, to me, how dare them? Right?
Makes no sense.
I mean, it makes no sense at all.
What happened in the match where you tore your rotator cuff? What was that extent of that injury?
Oh, in London with the English kid, really nice kid too, Doug Williams.
Yes.
Yeah, just slammed me off the top rope, but didn't know how to do it. Doug, you have to push me off, brother. I can't just roll over. I'm older now.
Did you get to work with Nigel McGuinness at all?
Who?
Nigel in TNA at all when he was there? Or
No, never. Okay. No, he was sick the whole time I was there. I know what the deal is.
Right. Who in TNA do you consider having the it factor?
The it factor, the greatest wrestler in the business today is Kurt Angle.
Kurt.
Make no mistake about it. When Shawn retired and Hunter backed down, Kurt Angle's the man. I talk to him all the time. Kurt Angle is a phenomenal wrestler and an incredible athlete. That thing he does off the top of the cage, the moonsault. I mean, that's like Rey Mysterio, Shawn Michaels stuff. Kurt, brother, can go. Make no mistake about it.
Do you think that Kurt has a mentality sometimes when he's hurt to still work in the ring? Do you think that's healthy for his body, or as far as?
No, I told Kurt. I said, God, you have to have enough money to go home because his neck hurts all the time. He broke his neck in the Olympic Games in '96, but he won't get it fixed right. He always has this guy in Pittsburgh do a temporary fix instead of having like what Edge had and those guys.
Right.
It ended his career, but Kurt needs to take the time off and have that thing fixed the right way. He just has this guy in Pittsburgh tweak it so he can get through another couple months, and then it's back again. But Kurt, God, in the ring, Kurt is phenomenal, man. He's bad to the bone, man.
Memories of the Hardy Boys in TNA.
Love them
Jeff
both.
and Matt.
Love them both. Yeah, they can't hang with me. They try to, but they can't. They think they can. I love Jeff and Matt, and I love Beth, Jeff's wife.
Right.
Little baby now. I'm so proud of them. They're just nice people. I have gotten Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy so drunk in Europe, back with WWE, I paralyzed them.
Who in TNA would you go out with? Who would you socialize with outside the ring?
James Storm, Keith Mitchell. Keith is the head of production, right? He's from WCW, right?
Right.
James Storm, Mickey J, all the time. Victoria, Mike Tenay. We all went back to the DoubleTree and watched sports. You through working at 7 o'clock at night. Are you kidding me?
All right.
Easiest gig in the world. Get there at 3, shoot the show 5 to 7, and you're out of there.
After you tore your rotator cuff, you never had surgery on your shoulder.
Because what happened was Dr. D'Alessandro, who was the number one orthopedic surgeon in North Carolina. Both my rotator cuffs have been operated on, but by Jim Andrews in Birmingham, right? So I just didn't want to go on to Birmingham again. So I go to Dr. D, and he goes, if you will actually just not work out for a couple months, it'll heal. It's not that bad. And you know what? He's right. I mean, I lost mobility in it, but I didn't have to have the surgery because that's a badass surgery, man.
Right.
I know the rehab on a rotator cuff is brutal. Then I tore my tricep wrestling Sting.
I remember that.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
And that healed too. I got the gift, man.
Everybody talked about it.
I got the gene.
Yeah.
They wanted to operate on that too.
And miraculously just healed. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You were in and out.
God gave me a gift, brother. It's called the gene.
Magic. A lot of people want to know, in this day and age, you still work in the ring. Will there ever be a day where you say, all right, I've done everything that I could possibly do in the business?
I've already said that.
Okay. As far as getting in the ring and working. But obviously, you're a valuable asset to be a mouthpiece. But is there ever a day when you'll say, all right, I've had enough, I'm going to hang up my tights?
Never.
Never? You'll die in the ring?
Not till they send me home. I'll either die in the ring. I text Vince a couple months ago. I want to die on top of Wendy, Fifi, or in the ring.
Right.
That's the truth. He goes, you're too much. I want to die wrestling in the ring or making love to Wendy, Fifi.
Right.
I swear to God.
What is your relationship to this day with Vince? You just mentioned that you text him.
I love Vince.
Okay.
You kidding me? I love Vince McMahon. He is the greatest guy in the world. You know, it's funny. Everybody wants to come across as saying he's got Vince McMahon is the reason we're all here. He's the reason you're here.
Without a doubt.
He's the reason you're talking to me. Vince McMahon's the greatest guy in the world. And he's a genius. I mean, he's a genius. Every NBA, NFL, they all follow his crap. All this stuff he does with WrestleMania was way ahead. Now they're all making packages and all this stuff. Vince was that 20 years ago. He's a genius.
It's a machine right now.
Yeah,
Can't be
he's not even a machine. He's just a genius. And everybody keeps saying, is it going to step down? He'll never step down. He'll die in gorilla position.
As far as your relationship goes with him, when you worked for Crockett, did you have any interaction at all with Vince before you
Yeah, I
came to the
did.
company?
He wanted me to come. I just didn't. I was so loyal to Crockett, and I was an NWA guy, and Piper went, all my friends went, and but I mean, the opportunity was there. I just was loyal to the NWA, and he understood that. His dad was on the board that voted for the champion. You know that, right? Yeah.
Senior.
Yeah, Vince Senior was on the board that voted for the champion. I've known Vince since he was just a young kid. I mean, he's older than I am, but I've known him for so long. But his dad was on the board of directors. Isn't that strange?
It's great.
He was on the WWF. He was on Change, on the board of directors, but who became champion. There were 9 guys, and Vince was on it. I mean, his dad was awesome. I used to get drink with his dad out in Vegas and all that, in the convention. I mean, I have a lot of history with the McMahon family.
There's so much to talk to you about, and I hope I'm not skipping around. Obviously, we're going to do more of these. Let's talk about TNA a little bit more. You were in and out of TNA for a little while. What happened when you left the company? Was that after the Europe tour, and then you came back? You were off TV for a little bit?
I only left because of an injury.
Okay.
I didn't leave over an issue. I just had to go home. They put me in the hospital. I swear to God, they were wheeling me in the room to have surgery on and Dr. D'Alessandro looked at me and goes, because they just did an MRI before I went in. He said, you're healing. I said, because I didn't want to have it done, man. He goes, so they wheeled me back out. I got off the cart, put my clothes on, and went home. Yeah. I was just gone because of health issues,
Nothing.
nothing personal, no.
Were there ever plans to put the world title on you in TNA?
No.
That you know of?
No.
Do you think that would have been an injustice to the product of people saying, oh, there's Flair on top again? Or
Yeah, I mean, I'm, you know what, in reality, I think I'm a good enough athlete still, and if somebody gave me 6 months to really get in shape, I think I could pull it off, but why, I don't want to be the world champion. I'm not deserving of it. That's for young guys that are working their butt off every day, you know.
Did you take interest in the product when you were there, as far as like maybe watching the younger guys work and maybe taking them on the side after their matches and be like, look, guys, you need to slow down. Less is more. Did you interact with a lot of the younger guys?
I did if they asked me, but here's the deal with me, right? If you ask me a question about how to correct your work or what to do better in your match, and I give you my opinion, and then you walk 5 feet away and ask some kid, what do you think? Done. If I give them advice, they take it. If they budge on it, screw them. Because I mean, it is what it is. If I'm teaching them how to work, because God knows I can work. You know that, right?
Of course.
If I give them advice and they go somewhere else, that's what all young guys do now, man. They go on the internet, they ride down the road with the kids their age and say, what do you think of the match? What would they know about the match? Give me a break.
Who are some of the kids that actually looked up to you and asked for your opinion?
Everybody did. But then it, just wore down because I know they get in the car and ride around and ask each other what they think. I never asked anybody. I lost my self-confidence for a while in 1989 or something. I used to say, what do you think? The worst thing you can ever do, I know how good I am. I never came out of the ring. Did I think I said to somebody, have a good match? Oh, you kidding me? I was on my way to the bar. I knew I had a good match. Because I was incapable of having a bad match back then.
Why did you lose confidence in yourself back then?
Because somebody said I was 40 years old, and it's a long story.
Talent or a sheet writer or?
No, it was Jim Hurd.
Jim Hurd did. You butted head with Jim. It's no secret.
I didn't butt heads with him, brother. He's looking for a job right now somewhere.
Right.
Dumbest asshole ever met in my life.
A lot of people.
Swear to God. He thought he was smart. He wanted to call me Spartacus. Are you kidding me? He put a diamond in my ear. He's the one that got me to cut my hair. I could kill myself for that.
That was around, what, 91 maybe?
Right before I went to WWE,
Right.
yeah.
That was right before 91.
Yeah. I mean, I got no time for Jim Hurd. I got no problem telling you.
All right.
He's got a problem with that, Jim will call me.
That will be off, because you don't want people calling you.
No, he can. No, but I'm saying, Jim Hurd is a dick.
We hear that a lot. And we'll talk about WCW.
I'm sure you have. You have to.
Everybody talks about Jim Hurd.
Manager of Pizza Hut running wrestling? Are you kidding me?
Right.
In his claim to fame, that he was at the Chase Hotel when we did what was that show we did at the Chase Live?
Are you talking?
Wrestling at the Chase Hotel back in the 80s.
Remember? I thought you were talking about St. Louis back in.
No, St. Louis. I'm talking about St. Louis, the Chase Hotel.
Oh.
That live show we did on Sunday morning, he actually managed the station and shot that for a while. It was the hottest show in the country. Live wrestling from the Chase Hotel on Sunday morning, my God.
Wow.
The first sponsor that they ever got was McDonald's. Think about that. They killed it.
It's crazy. So huge.
Me, Pat O'Connor, Dick the Bruiser, Bruiser Brody, the Von Erichs. I mean,
David was in there, I think, then, right?
Yeah, David was there. Terry Funk Jr., Gene Kiniski. I mean, it was the deal.
We'll definitely talk about your early stuff and the other DVDs coming up. I don't want the fans to think we're jumping around. Getting back to TNA, you were supposed to work Sting, I believe, one of the pay-per-views, and they moved that match from the main event. I don't know if it was going to be the main event. They moved it off to Impact. Did you feel disrespected when that happened?
Yes.
What was the story behind that?
No, I didn't feel disrespected. I was actually glad they put an Impact because nobody watches their pay-per-views.
There you go.
Truthful answer. I said, hell yeah,
For
let's
shooting.
do an Impact. Yeah, I wasn't disrespected. I said, great. Yeah.
How has Hulk Hogan changed over the years? You've worked with him in the 80s and the 90s. Well, not the 80s, but, the 90s and WCW and TNA. How has his personality changed? Is he the same guy?
First of all, I've always got along with Hulk. We've had differences in business. What I'm sensitive to is, I think has really humbled him is his health issues. He's had artificial knee, artificial hip. He has had 11 back operations in 2 years. One of them was for 7 hours to finally get that fusion. I mean, I'm sensitive to all this, but Hulk Hogan's a great guy. I mean, he lent me 15 grand one day when I needed it bad. I'll never forget it because my son, it's a long story, but I'll never get over that moment. I called him and said, I need 15 grand because I was going through divorce and couldn't go into the bank account because of it, long story.
Right.
15 grand in my bank account in 20 minutes. I love Hulk Hogan.
What's your opinion of what happened with him with the sex scandal and video and all that?
What I told him, I can't. I don't want to give an opinion. I just know how smart he is, and I think somebody duped him.
Did you get along personally with Bubba? Because I know he was a sidekick that would come to TV in the beginning when he first got there.
I got along with him, but I mean, he is what he is.
Have you ever listened to his radio show at all when he tries to talk to business and?
Yeah, but what I was sad about was when he and Hulk were cracking on Randy. I mean, I go, Hulk, what the hell? You guys, that angle, that argument shouldn't even be on public. But Bubba was milking it and loved having Hulk on the show. And Hulk Hogan's a smart guy, great businessman. He's made so much money, but he likes guys like, which bugs the shit out of me. Which I tell him all day. He likes guys like Bubba and who's his sidekick? He's a nice kid, but I mean, it is what it is. Who's the guy that traveled with Hulk all the time? I just saw him yesterday. Not Honky Tonk, but Brutus.
Oh yeah, Brutus.
Brutus, yeah.
Yeah.
And I go, what are you doing? He goes, to my friends. I go, I guess, okay, I get it. He has that. He likes to have a little posse.
Right. You actually went to his opening of his restaurant too.
Yeah, I did with a ball. Yeah,
that's a good time.
I took my daughter. And
was it New Year's Eve?
Took my girlfriend New Year's Eve, yeah.
Yeah.
We had a ball. Hulk's a great guy, man. That place is nice. I hope it's doing well.
I believe it is, actually. How did you find out about the Horseman's induction into the WWE Hall of Fame? And let's talk about how that all came about, because you were with TNA, and you talked a little bit about it earlier on.
Well, Johnny Ace called me and said, hey, we want to do this, but we got to get you released from TNA. So I just assumed, which wasn't the worst mistake, that they would say, God, Ric Flair, I'll have a two-time Hall of Famer. But, man, it was a battle. I mean, I can't get into legal issues.
Right.
But they didn't release me to go to Miami till Friday night. I mean, I was already there. You were
going to do it either way,
I was
right?
going, hell yeah.
Right. If they fired you, you would have cared at that
I
point.
could have cared less.
Right.
Sorry, who would turn that down? With all my friends, Briscoe, Ross, all these guys, I mean, I'm still so close to all those guys. Jim Ross, Gene Okerlund, are you kidding me? Jerry Briscoe. Jerry Briscoe said to me, he goes, I said, let's have a drink. It was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He said, Rick, I'm saving it up for one night. I said, Jerry, you almost died twice this year. You might not live till tomorrow night. Okay, let's get drunk tonight.
That's great.
It's a true story. He said, I agree with you. Jerry almost died twice last year.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
So I said, Jerry, you might not be alive tomorrow night. Why push it off, man? Let's do it tonight. I love Jerry Briscoe.
Who in this business is your closest friend? If you had to pick one guy, who would you consider your
My closest friend in this business?
in this business?
Hunter.
Hunter is your best friend.
Yeah. Hunter or Sean. Yeah. Cena, I love Cena, but he's afraid of me. Cena can drink like hell, but he runs from me now.
He doesn't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, he just got divorced. I said, what the hell? I called him there and I said, call me. I had some chick I wanted him to talk to. He runs from me now. But John's a great guy, man. John Cena is a great guy, man. That's my problem. I love those kids. But they see me coming and they go, no.
In this business today, you came from the old school, and you are old school, obviously. The business has really evolved since the 80s and even the 90s, and now it's a lot of like high spots.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on the current product? You worked for Ring of Honor, so you were around Ring of Honor. You've seen that style of wrestling, and TNA, a lot of the high spot guys. What is your opinion on today's current product in the business? And even TV, on Raw, short matches, a lot of hot shotting.
Yeah, well, it's entertainment.
You think it's just
it's all
evolved? The business
changed.
has just evolved?
I will tell you this: there's nobody in either company except for Kurt Angle that could ever wrestle Bruiser Brody for an hour.
Bruiser Brody?
Yeah, I wrestled him a lot, right?
Right.
For hours, not only in St. Louis and Kansas City, but in Japan. There's nobody in the business that could handle that kid. The Bruiser was a lot, man. Good Lord. I'll go public in saying that. Wrestling Bruiser Brody was a lot, brother. Especially in Tokyo. Good Lord. And Hansen, too.
Right.
Nobody in this business, in either company except for Angle, could handle those guys. Holy crap.
What are your memories of Brody? Let's talk about Frank, because you had a lot of interaction with the guy.
My memories of him were phenomenal. I was in Puerto Rico when he got stabbed. But, a lot of people don't understand the story.
Nobody even knows that, because that's never come out. Because I've done interviews with like Salvio, and nobody's ever said that you were there.
I was there, yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know.
I was on the show.
Okay.
What happened, though, is that Jose Gonzalez, right?
Right.
Do you know the story?
Yeah, we know the whole story. We've done interviews with Carlos.
Do you know
Carlos
about his baby drowning?
I didn't know about that.
That's when nobody gets. See, that I'll give you the straight story. Carlos,
Victor?
Invader, right? No.
Jose Gonzalez.
Jose Gonzalez. And his wife had just bought a new home. Their 2-year-old baby, right? They were out in the front yard working in the yard. The baby crawled out and drowned in the pool 2 days before the show. He's crazy already, right? Your little 2-year-old daughter died. You never heard that, right?
Never. Nobody's ever.
You got to come to Ric Flair, brother. I got all the answers, okay? And he went down to the arena, and then whatever happened between the two of them, not sure the conversation, but Invader came walking out of the locker room. Next thing I knew, Brody was dying. But I'm sure I would be off my rocker too if my 2-year-old daughter died.
Right.
And then Bruiser didn't want to do business, and which is.
Is that what you heard? That was the. A lot of people have different theories on it. Some people say when they were for Vince and did TV back in the 80s, Brody took liberties with Jose, and there was always heat there.
No. The answer is to this. Nobody gets it. Brody and Hansen made all their money in Japan, and back then the magazines were very influential.
Gong and all that.
And all the magazines went right to Japan. And he just said, guys, I'm not going to do it. Invader just spent a month in the hospital. You know about that, right?
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, Brody put him in the hospital. And over in Puerto Rico back then, Invader stayed in the hospital for a month to have the return match for 30,000 people to buy a moon. And I wasn't part of that deal, but what happened was he just, I don't even know what they said in the locker room, but, the Puerto Rican guys are tough. They're not that big, but they're tough.
What are your memories, some of your matches with Bruiser over in Japan?
Oh, nightmare. It was
Nice
phenomenal to work with, but those guys, they protected themselves. He and Stan, brother, the greatest match I ever saw in my life was Dick Slater and Tenryu against Hansen and Brody, because Dick Slater was a double tough man, brother. Make Dick wherever you are, I'll always tell him. And Tenryu and Slater, man, they didn't take anything off those guys. And Dick Slater can fight. Dick Slater's the second toughest guy around the business. Third, Haku, Harley Race, Dick Slater.
I was going to ask you your opinion of who's the toughest guy, and a lot of people say Haku is the #1 toughest guy.
Yeah, are you kidding me? He eats people. I've seen him bite a bartender's nose off.
I've heard that story.
I'm sorry, Haku. He got in so much trouble. In Japan one time, you never heard this story. This is the greatest story of all time.
Go for it.
So we're up in a bar on the second floor, right? And there's a black basketball team in town. Our basketball team, but it was like 5 black guys and 1 white guy, whatever it was, right? It's not about black and white. We're just talking about what it was, right? So this guy comes up to Mike Hegstand. It was me, Mike, and Haku at the bar, right? And the guy goes, that wrestling's all phony, right? And Mike goes, oh, I don't know, man. We do pretty good for ourselves. Leave us alone. Trying to get off, right? So Mike tells one of the young Japanese guys to go down and buy a big razor, right? You never heard this story?
Never heard.
See, Rob, I got so much to give you. You're gonna die. So Mike, this kid comes back with a big razor, right? Mike breaks it off, takes the blade out, right, of the razor, right? Walks over to the black guy, and goes, he goes, wrestling's phony, huh? The guy goes, yeah, it's phony, man. And Mike took that blade and cut that guy in half, cut himself in half, and the fight was on. And Haku threw one of the guys out of the second story window. That's why he's not there anymore.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
That is crazy.
He cut that kid, man. That poor kid. He's probably got 30 stitches. Mike goes, rest of his phony, huh? And took it and boom, boom.
Where did this happen? This happened in Japan, you said? Or
In Japan.
States?
Tokyo, yeah.
Wow.
That's why Haku's not allowed back.
That's
I got more stories you'll never know, but I've been for it all.
There's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about coming up. So, going back to TNA, because I mean, I could digress here and talk about the
You
Vinyl
can.
Wrestling
That's
for a
fine.
minute.
That's fine. That's fine. I got all the info you need to know, man.
All right, cool. Well, we'll hook up with you again, 100%. Let's talk about Terry Taylor and TNA.
Mm-hmm.
There was an incident. I don't know what happened. Did you have any incidents at all with Terry Taylor? Because I remember he was quoted at saying, it might have been after the incident in England. This is a quote coming from Terry. Flair is acting as if the entire wrestling business owes him. I was really disappointed in him. What are your thoughts on that
I
statement?
never heard that.
Okay.
Terry's training my daughter right now. Terry Taylor loves me. We've been best friends forever.
What ended your run at TNA?
Huh?
What ended your run in TNA?
They sent me travel to go to Louisiana
Right.
with no notice, not even advertised, and I just wrote Bruce. I still have a text on my phone. Bruce, I love you, but this was not our arrangement. And he had just talked to Melinda, who you know now,
Right.
and promised Melinda I would never go anywhere without being advertised. And I just said, Bruce, I love you. See you when I see you. Bye.
There was talk, I don't know, one of the sheets, I don't know if it was Meltzer or somebody, it talked about, there was, I guess, a report about you being pulled from shows over some kind of tab at one of the hotels in Orlando. It was just gossip.
No. I ran tabs all the time. That's probably true. But, I mean, I paid them.
Was there any truth to the report that Spike TV didn't want you on TV without a T-shirt on? Was that just hearsay?
I never heard that.
Okay. That was okay. When you did the WWE Hall of Fame, was there any truth to the fact that you wanted Sting to induct you at all?
No.
Okay.
Sting to induct me to WWE?
Yeah, it made no sense. That was one of the rumors that was out there.
No. You talking about Hunter inducted me?
No, actually, you know what? I totally got this. I'll re-edit this out. It's when TNA inducted Sting into the TNA Hall of Fame. They wanted you to come into TNA, and you're already gone from the company at this point. And I think they wanted to bring you back just to induct Sting into the TNA Hall
But
of Fame.
they had already made a deal with WWE for Christian to do it.
Okay.
Christian backed out. That was the deal. The deal for me was if I went to the Hall of Fame, they made TNA. They made a deal with TNA. TNA made WWE for Christian to come back and induct Sting, which made no sense.
Right.
They never worked with each other.
Right.
And then Christian didn't do it, so they had Lex Luger and Hulk and somebody else do it. It's ridiculous. Sting is such a great guy. I'm the one that should have inducted him.
Would have made sense.
They never
Put him
contacted
on the
me.
map?
They never contacted. I didn't put him on the map.
Well, Clash of Champions, I'm saying, as one of your
Yeah,
standout matches.
it is, but I mean, Sting had the ability to be on the map without me. It is what it is.
What are your thoughts on Samoa Joe?
I like him very much. Very nice guy.
Good.
Mhm.
Kevin Nash in TNA, did you get to work with him a little bit behind the scenes at all? Or
No, I never got to work with Kevin there.
not in the ring, but behind the scenes? Were you there at the same time with Kevin?
Yeah, I like Kevin a lot.
Did he change from
His problem is he's a Tennessee Volunteer, and I'm a Gamecock. I wear him out every year. We kicked their ass. They took out Lattimore this year, which really hurt my feelings. But
Right.
I texted him. He still lost.
Did Kevin change at all in TNA from what he used to be in WCW as far as very political?
Well, I didn't deal with that. See, guys, you don't get it. I just did my own thing, you know. At the end, WCW used me when they needed me. When they didn't, they didn't. But when Kevin was booking, we did that thing in Gainesville, Florida, where they went to the insane asylum and all that.
Right.
I could pull anything off, man. I like working with Kevin. Kevin's a great guy.
There were mixed reports with TNA that you either quit or fired. Well, I guess what was the truth? What exactly happened as far as you leaving the company?
I quit.
You quit? Okay.
Fire, really think so.
Is it true they tried to get you back a couple times since then? And you just didn't want to go back, or?
You want to see a text from Dixie Carter I just got?
I
On my
believe it.
birthday, yeah. Dave asked me to come back 100 times. I just couldn't do it because I just felt like, to be where I was with Vince McMahon, the stuff they were asking me to do was beneath me.
Right.
And I told Dixie that. I said, Dixie, because they couldn't find a role for me. One week I was Fortune, next week I was Fighting Sting, next week I was, and the guy that I made the most music with was Kurt Angle. When they refused, I gave them an angle with me, my son, and Kurt, because my son, who's an amateur wrestler, idolizes Kurt. So, of course, they flew my son down. They promised him everything and never called him back. I mean, that's the way the business works on there. You know, they make promises and they don't come through.
If you were booking TNA, hypothetically, how would you book Ric Flair?
I would find somebody for Ric Flair to mentor and stick with it.
Out of all the talent there, who would that guy be? Would it be an AJ Styles?
No, I should be managing Kurt Angle right now. I mean, AJ was great, don't understand me, but AJ's such a nice guy, he doesn't know how to be a bad guy.
Right.
I could be the best bad guy in the world. But everybody says you can't be a bad guy because everybody loves you. Well, I could be a bad guy. I can get heat. But I should be managing Kurt Angle right now, and Kurt is a great heel.
One of the best.
Yeah, but he's also a great babyface. So they can't make up their mind with Kurt. I mean, look at it for what it is. They switch Kurt back and forth every other week.
It's TNA.
I got a text from Kurt Angle right now.
Let's talk about your son. You mentioned Reed a little bit earlier on. How big of a wrestling fan was he growing up?
Huge, but he was a great amateur wrestler. 4 national championships: the Tulsa Nationals, AU Nationals twice, or 3-time national AU champion. Tulsa Nationals, which is the toughest amateur wrestling tournament in the country, and 14-time state champion AAU in USA. Are you kidding me?
So he has it in his blood, pretty much?
Yeah, he's there. He's kicking ass in Japan right now. It's so bad.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah, he stretched Sonata as a new guy, right?
Right.
I'll show you the picture. Did I show you yesterday?
I don't think I saw it. No.
Yeah, I said, because they were, you know how they always go in Japan, they like try to give you this stuff and pretend like they can't speak English right, you know, see how I can't, right? They can't, yeah. So I told Reed, I said, take that kid down and ride him around like you own him. He goes, Dad, that's not in the match. I pulled him in the bathroom. I said, do what I'm telling you. I've been coming here since 1978, 72 actually. And Reed took that kid down and rode him around, let him clean the rope, right? You know, they go, he said, so Muda's looking at me, what'd you say to him? I said, I told him to ride him out. Muda said, stay out of this. They tried to block me from being a manager. Are you kidding me? Wow. Good Lord.
Was it the health, or just because they didn't want you?
They didn't want me out there with Reed.
Right.
Tell him what to do.
Wow. What is some advice you would give Reed? Obviously, you know, you sat down with him on the side about this business. It's a cutthroat business. What is the one piece of advice that you hope that he really takes to heart?
Always be a man. Right. Always be a man. He's a super tough kid. He's made some bad decisions in his life, you know, which everybody does, but he's a man and a half. Couldn't be more proud of him. And he's over there. He is on top of the world.
He's doing good from here.
And both companies want him.
Right.
So he's coming home March 30th to go to WrestleMania with me.
Good.
Sit down for 10 days, and we'll see Muda or Fujinami who's got more money.
You were supposed to take him to ROH, and then an incident happened, which we won't talk about. You did go to ROH, Ring of Honor.
Uh-huh.
What was your opinion on the company, and what was it like working with Kerry Sulkin?
Well, I thought they were great, but they wanted me to do stuff that we didn't agree to.
Right.
Another one of those deals where, you know, they wanted me to go out and say that Ring of Honor was bigger than WWE. Are you kidding me? You know, I'm not saying that. I don't go out and I'm not cracking on Vince McMahon. Everybody thinks by taking a shot at Vince that makes him bigger, it makes him smaller. But I love Kerry's a great guy. I mean, he and I got along great, but they wanted me to go out and say stuff on camera that I wasn't going to say.
Right.
I'm going to say they're bigger than WWE? Oh, really? Okay. Hello.
Did you watch the product at all? Did you watch the talent there?
Yeah, they're great. Nice kids.
Anyone stand out?
The kid you mentioned earlier was really good.
Who's that?
That went to TNA. He just asked me if I ever wrestled him. And
Desmond Wolf. Okay, Nigel. Nigel McGuinness.
Yeah, Nigel was great. Yeah.
What about Ashley, your daughter?
She's
in the business
rocking and rolling, man.
She's down in Florida right now.
Yeah, I did NXT.
Right.
I just managed her last Sunday. It was great.
Now, is it true that she wasn't really a wrestling fan growing up, and she just got into the business?
Well, she played Division I volleyball. She was a 4-time national champion cheerleader on a 26-girl squad. The only girl on the team that could do it. You know what a double full is?
No.
Well, it's where you flip twice in the air and land on your feet, right? And she was a level 9 gymnast. She's 5'11" and weighs 150 pounds, and she's 12% body fat. You tell me.
So she'll be brought up to the main roster pretty soon. Then.
I hope. I can't figure out. I just told her today, why isn't she here?
We'll switch. When Ashley told you that she wanted to get into the business, what was your initial reaction?
I was happy. I knew she'd be great at it, But the thing about Ashley is, I wanted her to finish up her scholarship. I wanted her to go to school, right? And she was a 6-year student, so it took her a little longer to get out. But she played volleyball. I mean, it's hard to go to class, weight train in the summer, and then do the summer camps and all that. She never had any social life, so I got it. She just said, "Dad, I'm done."
Were you surprised when she got into the business?
Not at all. I was all for it. Johnny Ace better. Johnny's known her since she was like 5 years. I broke Johnny Ace in the business. You know that, right?
Flag bearer?
Huh?
Sheep herders? Or?
No, he was the skateboarder guys.
Oh, yeah, with Shane.
Yeah,
With
Shane, yeah. And but Johnny's known Ashley since 5 years old. We're like all family.
Do you worry about her in the business because of the business?
No. Ashley can kick some ass, man. You never know it, as beautiful as she is, but Ashley's like her brother. She's fearless.
Is there a match or a feud that fans tell you over and over again that they like, which surprised you?
Me and Steamboat.
You and Steamboat?
Yeah. The 3-match series in '89. It's stolen.
Without a doubt.
Those tapes are invaluable for training people.
What are your memories of Ricky?
The best. I just saw him last Sunday night. I love Steamboat.
You can talk about your history with him since we're on the
No, I helped break him in the business. He came from Vern, where I did, right?
Right.
Came to Charlotte, and of course, at that time, the older wrestlers were always jealous, and I won't mention any names. The young guy, and I look at George Scott, I said, I could make this kid in a second. We shot that angle where he tore off my clothes and all that.
Right.
And funny, I beat him up the first time, right? We were on the horn, it didn't draw. So we shot the angle where he tore off my clothes. We sold out everywhere. Every time we wrestled Steamboat in Carolina, we were sold out. And we wrestled an hour every night. It was phenomenal.
What are your memories about some of your matches with him in WCW? Wrestle War?
Well, we were both kind of past our prime then. But it was still the best match on the card. I mean, Steamboat is Steamboat. He's the only guy like him that I've ever met is Shawn Michaels. I mean, that good.
Right. When you look back at your matches with Ricky and then you look at the business today, and your matches with Ricky, they were long and they told a story. What do you think is wrong with the business today if you were to compare today's product with your matches with Ricky? Or even, you had a lot of classics.
Well, today's product is just different. I mean, times have changed, And it's all about it's more about entertainment now than it is wrestling. I mean, wrestling, the guys work their butt off today, don't misunderstand me, but it's just different, Back then it was blood, guts, and glory,
Right. Let's talk about Jerry Lawler and his heart attack that just happened. How did that impact you?
Well, it impacted me because it kept me from working. They said, you can come back, but remember asked to wrestle.
This is for Vince?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure enough, the first night I had physicality.
With Punk?
Yeah. Huh?
With CM Punk and Philly?
Yeah. And I had to go to a heart doctor and have a double checkup. It was ridiculous. I mean, I get that. Times have changed. They're very, WWE is very health monitor conscious. Makes sense?
Right.
Because something like that, when I saw that going on TV, I thought it was a stunt at first. Then I realized, I didn't know that Jerry. I saw him yesterday in New York with you.
Yeah.
I tell the story all the time. I thought that they were doing something like faking it. I don't know. He was clinically dead for 20 minutes. It took him 20 minutes to get him jump started, and he never lost any. Lucky as hell. I mean, good Lord.
Now, do you ever think about that?
No.
No, you don't even.
Yeah. Rob, day to day, man.
I hear you.
What the hell? If I die tomorrow, who's had a better life than me? I mean, really think about it.
About a month ago, you were in Japan, and I guess they wouldn't let you wrestle. What exactly happened with that? It was never clear. I know you're
Oh, it was my leg.
okay. Do you want to show it to the camera? Because a lot of people say, oh, you know, I mean,
Look at it. A, B.
wow. Sorry.
Yeah, it's serious stuff. I'm actually going to the hospital when I get home from. I got to figure it out, but I hate it. I went to the hospital 3 months ago because it's like blew up like that, and I don't know what it is. Nobody does.
Getting back to Jerry Lawler, I want to touch on it real quickly. What are your memories of working for Memphis? You came in for like one or two shots down there, and then what exactly happened with that deal? Was there heat over that?
No, not with me.
Okay.
No, they just, Memphis, right? They switched it around, and I was supposed to wrestle Jerry again in a return match, sold out at the Coliseum.
Right.
We did.
You beat him the first time, right?
No. We did something in the Adolph Rupp Arena, which was sold out. Me and Jerry, and I can't remember what the finish was. Doesn't matter. But I was supposed to wrestle Jerry, and then of course everybody got involved, and I ended up wrestling Coco Beware. But we stole the show.
Right.
Coco can work, man.
Back then, yeah, definitely. When you came back to work for Vince, and you did the angle with CM Punk in Philadelphia, how long was that in the planning stages for? Was it something, because I know obviously they had the problem, we're not going to get into it with the TNA WWE lawsuit involving you and all that. Was it pretty much like when that was going to be done with, they would bring you back with TV and do something with you? Was that segment with Punk?
The lawsuit kept me out for 6 months.
Right.
I mean, my 120-day non-compete, I had no
already done
problem
that.
doing that, right? But then that lawsuit, and I'm not sure to this day why Vince didn't squash it, but there must have been reasons, and, they finally brought me back, and I didn't know what I was doing until 10 minutes before the show.
They kept you in the bus from what I understand.
Yeah, the whole day.
You said you're very close with Hunter. What are your thoughts on Hunter taking over the reins for Vince when he's done?
I think it's great. Hunter is a wonderful guy. He's smarter than hell. He has studied the business since he was 5 years old, and he's a great performer too. I mean, all three. I hate the haircut, but good Lord, he's got his haircut.
Corporate world.
He looks like Rob Gronkowski now.
What do you think Hunter's vision is going to be for the business in the future? You're pretty close with him, so.
I think Hunter's vision will be very similar to Vince's. It's sports entertainment now, but I think Hunter will always insist that there's good wrestling on the show.
Right.
At some point in time.
What are your thoughts of CM Punk?
I like him a lot. Great kid. Very respectful, very nice to me. I mean, I don't have, my problem is I don't have bad words to say about anybody. I like that kid a lot. He's a wonderful guy.
Do you follow their TV every week, or?
I watch Raw when LeBron's not playing.
Right.
How about that? That's the answer.
Wow. Do you enjoy mentoring, or is it something you're not really interested in doing?
I don't mind mentoring. I just, if I'm mentoring somebody, I just want them to take my advice and not second guess what I'm telling them.
There's been talk about you coming back to WWE on a full-time basis and being paired with Dolph Ziggler. Have you watched him and have you seen him work?
I love Dolph.
Incredible.
He wrestled at Kent State.
Okay.
And actually, Dolph and I sat and watched. He's from St. Ed's in Cleveland, right?
Right.
We went to Blair Academy. And the first time in 20 years, St. Ed's beat Blair. My son wrestled a kid named Honeycutt, who's a 2-time national champion now at Ohio State. And my son was tied 3-2. My son was ahead going to the third period, and he got ticked. He just blew up. He got tired. Honeycutt ended up beating him. And that wasn't a difference in the tournament because a kid that was a national champion at Penn State, school Reed lost the final match. So Reed didn't cause the loss, but the first time in 21 years that Blair didn't win the Nationals.
Do you, when you watch Dolph, does he remind you of a young Kurt Hennig a little bit?
He does a little bit, yeah. Actually, I never thought about it like that, but yeah, he does. Dolph's a great kid, man. God, I mean, that kid's got unlimited potential.
Would you like being paired with him as his manager role?
I'd love that.
Who in WWE right now, as far as like top talent, do you feel is definitely the biggest moneymaker there besides John Cena?
Well, I love Randy Orton. Randy Orton is phenomenal. I think Punk is doing a great job for him. I don't know what kind of money that guys are making, but I mean, they're not making Austin Rock money, but they're making good money. And it's just hard because I'm still really close friends with the Undertaker, right? And we talk, and he's banged up bad. And I mean, I hate. I'm so lucky in my health because I see these guys, right? That the Undertaker's health. His health is good, but his body has been through a lot.
Are you shocked that he's going to come back this year for one more run for Mania?
I didn't know that he was. Is he?
He's supposed to do something with Punk.
Oh, good. Hope he does.
I'm probably going to shoot it tomorrow, but you're there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, a lot of people take. I don't know if you're aware and you follow the sheets or whatnot. I'm sure you're not on the internet or anything like that. But back, especially the late '90s, early 2000, when you were working a lot of the matches for TNA. A lot of the fans and the critics would say, all right, when is Rick and Hawk and these guys going to step aside and let the younger guys, get the spotlight? Or
When the young guys get better.
That's what I was going to ask you. What would you say to those critics?
When the young guys get better, they can take my spot.
All right.
I can sell out talk any of them. And if you give me 6 months to get in shape, I can outwork them. That's how I feel. But it's not personal, but I know who I am.
Right.
And if I was in bad health, it'd be one thing. I'm a cosmetic nightmare, but I can get back in shape.
How is your health all around today besides
Great.
the leg problem?
Great.
Okay. No other issues?
Nothing.
What's missing from WWE today? If there's one thing, if you were watching their TV, and I'm not trying to bash WWE or anything like that, but if you're a critic and you watch their TV, what would you say, in your opinion, is missing from the product? If you could change one thing about the product, what would?
I wouldn't. I think they're doing great. What's there to change? It's just hard. They're trying to build new stars every day, and it's hard to do. It just is. It takes. I've been on TV for 40 years. It's hard to be on TV for 2 weeks and get over.
Right.
And the people don't know half the new names and the new guys and all that, but they survive. And they'll find sooner or later a guy will come along with a bell medal and will make it. I mean, a lot of the little guys have made it. Not little guys. A lot of the guys from Tampa have made it, but. You don't make it in a year. You got to be on TV for a couple of years.
What are your thoughts on NXT and the developmental system for WWE? Do you think there should be territories where the guys could work a lot more than just going to a system down in Florida and just working with the same talent and not getting the
Well, I
experience?
love the territory thing, but that's never going to happen.
Right. Obviously.
NXT is awesome.
What are your thoughts about the infrastructure down there with Dusty as far as teaching?
Well, I
guys
love
promos?
it. My God, awesome.
Can you explain to the fans down there what goes on that might not know as far as the training regimen?
Well, my daughter trains from 8 till 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and one day is all about interviews. The other time it's wrestling and coaching, and they do house shows at night. And Steve Kern's a great guy. Steve runs it up basically.
Right.
If I was working down there, I would teach the kids a little different style, but I'm not there, so.
What would you do?
I just think that it's pretty hard to learn psychology of the business, and they don't have time, and it's kind of like a rush deal, but it's still it's the business today. Times have changed. It's all good.
What is the biggest misconception about Ric Flair?
That I'm not sensitive.
In what factor?
Well, I've been in this business for 40 years. It's an insensitive business. Even today, nobody understands 300 days on the road. Well, for 20 years, I did 365 days on the road, twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday, for 20 years. And, if you can go to work, you can get paid. Vince, in turn, pays everything now. Medical insurance, everything. I mean, that wasn't available to me. So, I just think that all those kids are lucky enough to be in that program. We're in a good place. I have about 100 kids yesterday asked how to be a wrestler. I said, forget it. Where should I go? I just tell them right up front, you ain't got it.
Right. Would you ever consider being a road agent? Or is
No,
that
no.
something you wouldn't want to do? You just always want to be a personality, a character?
Those road agents worked their butt off. And my hat's off to Arn, Dean, and Johnny, and Mike Rotundo. That's a tough job, man. It's, they work, from noon until 12 o'clock every night, Monday and Tuesday for Raw and SmackDown. Then they go on the road, and it's much more sophisticated than I was there.
Right. A lot of people say that Ric Flair can't separate Ric Flair, the personality, from Richard Flair. What do you say to people that say that?
It's the truth.
Is it the truth?
Yeah. With Richard Flair.
All right.
Ric Flair is Ric Flair, baby.
A lot of people say that you're like an 18-year-old kid trapped in an adult body. What do you say to
And
that?
that's the truth. I'm a 13-year-old kid, not 18. Sorry, okay.
There you go.
I just reached puberty. I turned 64 on Monday.
That's crazy. That's great. What is one thing that fans might not know about Ric Flair? What is the one thing that might not have never been told?
What would have been told about me? I think if you Google me, it's pretty much all out there. I have no idea.
All right.
Yeah, I am what I am.
Do you follow UFC? Are you a fan of MMA?
Yeah, a little bit. I really watched it when Brock was there. I loved watching Brock, But I like St. Pierre, and I used to be really close friends with what's the kid that just God, he just retired. Ortiz, Tito Ortiz.
Okay.
Yeah, I love Tito. But I don't mean, do I buy the pay-per-views? No.
Right.
I did when Brock. I actually went to a couple. I didn't buy it. I went to a couple bars to watch it.
You went to Vegas, I think, in February too. You were going to go, right, or something? This past.
Yeah, I was there, but I didn't go.
Yeah.
But I got tickets for a really hot chick at the bar
Awesome.
from Dave. Dave took care of me.
Yeah, he told me.
Yeah.
Do you think UFC has affected the business for WWE as far as
Actually, when I didn't go there because I went to Lawrence Taylor's 54th birthday.
you were with Mongo, right?
Yeah, Mongo and Lawrence Taylor. Good Lord. Sorry, we were a towel, right? And I love MMA, but I gave the tickets to a girl. And Dave was so accommodating. Dave's awesome.
How close are you with Dave Meltzer?
Well, we never socialized, but I've known Dave. Dave, the first time he came to see me was 1989 in Chicago, and I didn't know who he was, right? And he was hanging out with a football player. I can't think of his name, the running back from Stanford. And we're out at Gibson's and having a drinks, and the guy goes, "Do you know Dave Meltzer?" I go, "I know who he is. This is Dave Meltzer." I went, "Holy shit, that's you, brother." He's a great guy.
Did you have heat with him? Because a lot of the old school guys, back in the 80s, especially when he was, doing the sheet, they would say, "Oh, you can't, read the sheets in the locker room and all that stuff." Or did you respect him as a journalist, or did you think he was hurting the business?
I think he's the best journalist.
Without a doubt.
I never had any. People don't tell me what to do.
Right.
It is what it is. I think Dave's great.
Getting back to UFC, I was asking you, did you think that UFC hurt the wrestling business at all, as far as like with the fans watching?
No.
You think wrestling will always have a spot?
Always. Please.
How has Vince McMahon changed over time, from the 80s to the 90s to now?
He's much mellower.
No competition?
No, Vince rolls with time. I mean, I'm sure that, Vince is capable of getting angry, but I said to him one time, I said, "How do you keep a game face on all the time?" You know what he said to me? "I have to."
All right.
Because we all lose our game face. I did, certainly. I was, when I was insecure and all that. He goes, "I have to keep it on. I got 300 people that need me every day." What a great answer, right?
Yeah. Obviously, you guys have butted heads in numerous occasions. You worked there enough.
No, we never butted heads. He just told me one time that the 80s heel didn't work anymore. I go, "Yeah, it does."
Why do you think he said that?
Because a guy was slamming me off the top rope, and he called me in a room. He goes, "Why do you do that all the time?" And I said, "Well, I learned it from Harley Race." He goes, "End the sentence." Why did Harley get slammed off the top every night, A lot of guys don't like that bump, Bret Hart hates that bump. Bret goes to me all the time, "Why do you want me to do that?" I said, "Why do you want me to sit there while you jump up on your knees and do your thing?"
Speaking of Bret Hart, I was going to ask you, and now we're talking about Bret. What was the heat between you and Bret? He went publicly and said that, you guys worked a lot of matches, and even he was really hard on your career as well, saying that, you've seen one Ric Flair match, you've seen them all.
Mm-hmm.
What is the? I guess what does that all stem from?
I don't know. I always got along good with Bret, you know?
Are you aware of his book that when he wrote that about you at all, or no?
No.
No. Okay. Were you shocked when Bret went back to work for WWE?
I was, because of what he did, when his brother died. What disappointed me about Bret, I didn't get it, but I clearly voiced it, is that it went right from his brother dying in 1 hour to Montreal. It is what it is. His brother dying, Owen, was a terrible, terrible tragedy. Nobody's fault. Bret, Owen was insecure with the harness, which I'm aware of because Sting did it for a long time, right?
Right.
And he wanted to land in the ring and have the harness fly off. He kept playing around with it up there. I know the guy that rigged the gear for him. And he released, and that was it,
What is
No,
your?
I have no. I like Bret, but he got mad because I said that. But that's what I felt. I felt like Montreal's dead. Let it go.
As far as Chris Benoit goes, I want to talk a little bit about Chris. You worked with Chris a lot in WCW.
Mm-hmm.
What is your take on the entire situation with him and Nancy?
Well, it's funny because Chris Benoit and Nancy I've known since 1979, right? She married to Kevin Sullivan and all
Right.
that, right? And thought the world of Nancy and that. I don't know what happened there. I swear to God, I have no idea. Chris Benoit has watched all 4 of my kids grow up. I saw Chris Tuesday in Charlotte before the Raw on Monday. And he was as normal as could be. I don't know what happened.
Do you think he was capable of carrying out that crime that they allegedly say he did? Did you see it in him? That maybe
No, I never saw it in Chris. No, he just like the kindest, nicest, most gracious guy in the world. I don't know what happened, and I'm never going to judge because I don't know. But it wasn't because of steroids. That's so overplayed in sports.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, do you actually think steroids enhance eye-hand coordination? Give me a break.
Whose death in the wrestling business has impacted you the most?
God, it's hard to say because I died when when I heard about Kurt Hennig, that shocked me. Like Hegstrand, that shocked me. I hadn't seen him in years, but I gotta be honest with you, the one I was the saddest about personally was Savage.
Randy.
He finally found peace. He finally found happiness. Had a nice new wife for a year. Had someone, because it took him forever to get over Elizabeth. And she was awesome too. That was a really bad deal, man. God. But I really felt like, God, Randy Savage, I think he's a year younger than me. Bingo. Heart attack on the highway. It could be me, right? Yeah. And I just felt bad about it. I hadn't seen Randy in years. But I really like Randy very much.
What was Randy like to work with?
Randy was great to work with. He just wanted to make sure that everything was scripted. And I go, Randy, get in the ring and pretend like you're riding a Greyhound bus and leave it driving to me. He didn't like that. He hated that.
Obviously, WrestleMania 3 match with Ricky Steamboat, from what
Yeah.
I understand, everything was written down and they studied it together and stuff.
Yeah. It's no secret. It's the
Right.
truth. He was like that every night.
Did you sense any, a lot of people we've done interviews talk about Randy and Elizabeth, how he would pretty much control and be very jealous and keep her in closets and stuff like that. I don't know how true that is in Poughkeepsie.
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea. I have not privileged to know that. I never heard that from anybody. I heard people say that, but
Right.
to me, because Elizabeth was a manager for a while at WCW, and she never, I felt like they loved each other, but they just, something happened, and it happens in life. My God, I've been through it 4 times. Hello.
When she was with Lex, was it an intense situation in the locker room at WCW because Randy was there and now she was now with Lex? Or did the boys even know that? Or
Other boys knew, but because they're all my friends, I didn't judge. Who am I to judge?
right.
I just stayed out of it. I stayed neutral.
Out of all the different eras that you worked from the 70s to 80s to 90s, 2000 to now, what has been your favorite?
Oh, the 80s. Rock and roll, 18 to 28, no boyfriends, no husbands, Marriott Hotel.
Marriott
Woo!
Village. Exactly.
Are you kidding me?
Safari Club in
We
Baltimore.
sold out every day. Safari Club in Baltimore, good Lord.
I remember seeing you run around the hallways of the hotels with just a sock on your dick.
I know, exactly. I've done it. Hunter talked about it at the Hall of Fame.
Right.
With the Lord. I enjoyed my life.
Who do you consider, you mentioned Shawn Michaels. Would he be considered one of the best workers you ever stepped inside the ring?
Yes, most definitely. Shawn Michaels is unbelievable.
Why is that? Tell us about Shawn.
He's just a phenomenal athlete. He can do anything. He can do stuff Rey Mysterio does. And he can wrestle like he weighs 280 pounds. He can do both.
Right.
But he's like Steamboat. He's just phenomenal. Phenomenal to work with chemistry. He calls me the king of the short shoot because I'm not one of these guys. I think that when you back the guy up to the rope and throw him across the ring, it just looks so phony, right? So I used to, we'd tie up and I'd shoot him off. he tore something in his knee because he calls me the king of the short shoot because I shot him in, for whatever we were doing, and he tore something in his knee. He goes, "Damn you, you're the king of the short shoot." I said, "Why would I back you up? It's Shawn Michaels. We look like idiots." Backing a guy up from the middle of the ring to throw him off, it makes no sense.
Right.
Think about it. Why would you back a guy up to throw him across the ring? Good Lord. To this day, I can't stand that. I told my daughter, I said, "Ashley, become the queen of the short shoot. Do not back anybody up, throw him across the ring, and have him miss a clothesline by 1.5 feet. Good Lord."
Do you feel that maybe they'll pair you up with Ashley or even Reed when he comes over to New York?
I hope so, but I have no idea.
Would you want that for them, or do you think you want them to make a name for themselves without the Flair name?
Oh, they're going to make a name for themselves anyway. They already have. I don't know, but I'd be lying if I didn't say I'd like to be around them. How about that? Not managing them, but I'd love to be there. I certainly will be there for her debut. My God, I can't wait. I started crying the other night in Melbourne. I was so proud of her. God, she can work her. She's unbelievable.
What did you do down there? I know you were just down there.
I managed her.
Okay.
I took her to the ring, then I left.
Right.
God forbid they leave me at ringside with her.
You'll overshadow her, maybe? Or?
No, but I mean, she did all my trademark stuff. She used the figure 4 to win the match. It was phenomenal. God, I cried. I took my ex-wife down there.
Right.
Ashley's mom, and she had the time of her life. Holy cow, God.
As far as a lot of the younger generation now in the business, Ricky Steamboat's son, Richie's now involved in the business. And do you think there will ever be a day where you can see maybe Flair Steamboat all over again?
Like me and Ricky? Never.
Well, it's different.
That day is come and gone, man.
Right. But do you think that Vince will ever try to capitalize on that and say, Flair Steamboat, next generation? And,
No.
Okay, totally different.
He's past that. It's like the guy calling me an 80s heel.
Right.
He goes, "You're an 80, that doesn't work anymore." I go, "Okay. Hello." Woo.
What is your relationship like with Dusty Rhodes?
Great.
Great relationship.
I love the Dream. Yeah, very close to this day.
Did you guys ever have any heat back in the 80s at all? Or?
Heat every day. Because we argued about things, but
Right.
good heat. And when I say heat, I mean, that was a time when you argued about things and you agreed to disagree. That's all it was. Well, never. Dusty and I are very close.
And again, I don't want the fans to think I'm skipping all this because when we do other DVDs with
Yeah.
you, we're going to talk in detail of all of these programs that you're involved in.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about Dusty and Steamboat and Shawn a lot more. Briefly with Dusty, what are your memories of some of your matches with Dusty and NWA Crockett? Because I grew up watching that in the 80s.
My best story is we got in a ring in Greensboro one night for Starrcade '83, and he said, "Kid, this is like the grand opening at Caesar's Palace, man." I go, "Okay." He was great, man. He could wrestle, too. Everybody thinks Dusty was out of shape. Dusty could wrestle. I wrestled him a lot of our Broadways. Dusty could hang in there, and he was so charismatic. It didn't matter. He just, he didn't have to do anything. He was Dusty Rhodes. He was the greatest talker in our business.
I was going to ask you, who do you consider the greatest talker in the business?
Dusty Rhodes.
If you were to look at yourself in a mirror and you ask yourself to rate yourself as a worker, what would you rate yourself as far as a worker goes?
Number 1.
Number 1?
Yep.
Okay.
Interview number 2.
How did you develop your interview skills?
Top of my head. Just like a dream. The dream could talk, man. We had the greatest thing going. We did it for 20 years. Think about it.
You had to talk your way up, or you had to talk the fans into coming to see it.
Yeah. We didn't have to talk to them. They came. We sold out everything for 20 years, from Florida to North Carolina to Chicago. I mean, whenever Dusty and I touched, it was like I call it like making music.
What point in your career did you say, all right, I got the hang of this now? When did you have confidence in yourself as a performer?
74.
74?
2 years after I started. I said, I got this gig down. Woo.
When did you start doing the woo?
74.
74
Yeah.
was when you started doing it?
Riding down the highway, and Jerry Lewis was going, goodness gracious, great balls of fire, woo. I went, I like that, woo. So I got it from.
Now, you've been on the road since the 70s. You have to have some great road stories that you never shared. Do you have any road stories that you might want to share now? Some funny stuff, ribs, anything you've seen?
I don't rip anybody. I'm not a ripper. No, I got road stories for you, but they're all X-rated. I got 1,000 of them. You just mentioned one of them at the Safari Club at the
right.
Sheridan. Are you kidding me?
Do you think there will ever be a Ric Flair videotape coming out in the future?
There's a new book coming out.
Right.
When you read my new book, you're going to die. Good Lord.
When does that come out?
Summer read.
Okay, cool.
May or June.
May or June?
Yeah.
As far as wrestling and blood to this day, you were involved in a lot of bloody matches.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's a lot of fear with HIV and hepatitis. And I don't know if you follow the controversy with Abby and a kid out in Canada, Devin Nicholson. What is your thought on blood in the business? Do you think there's still a need for it? Or
No, I think everything's changed, you know. We used to say red is green. Does it make sense?
Right.
Yeah, so that was part of it. But now it's just a different business now. It's calmed down. And I think health issues are more important than blood. And I think it's really important that the companies honor that and respect that. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I would do it every night if they let me.
Right.
But that, when Chris Jericho hit me with that monitor going into that thing with Mickey Rourke and all that, put 27 stitches in me, right? Vince wanted to fine me 25 grand. I said, I didn't do nothing. What the hell? He hit me with a monitor.
Right.
He said, put your hands up. I said, I never put my hands up in my life. I can tell you 1,000 stories.
Looking back, if you were to have maybe just 3 of your matches on videotape for your grandchildren, which matches would they be?
One with Steamboat, one with Dusty, and one with Shawn Michaels. And one with Hunter, 4.
Which one with Hunter?
That I Quit match we had in Detroit. We tore it down, man. And I was 56 years old then. I wish, I gave Hunter one of my belts.
Right.
Where I said, I wish I could have wrestled you when I was 25. I love that kid. He can really work his ass off, man.
How did you and Hunter get so close?
I just mutual respect for each other, and he was a big fan of mine growing up, and he made no bones about it, right? And
right.
he's just a great guy all around. I mean, he's a great father, great husband, great performer, and he's an honest, truthful guy. He doesn't drink enough for me, number one. Can't hang out. He'll eat 25 T-bones, right?
Right.
Or ribeyes or whatever, right? And I'll drink 200 drinks. He thinks I'm crazy. I mean, that guy can eat like a horse. My God, he'll eat 5 steaks a day. So, conscious of his physique and all that, but he's just an awesome guy.
If somebody were to say to you, Rick, you're drinking too much, and will you listen to them, or do you say this is my life? And
It's my life.
Okay.
I'll live it like I want to live it. If you did what I did for 40 years, you'd be drinking too.
What is the most political thing you were ever involved with in wrestling that gave you a real headache?
All the stuff with WCW at the end. The happiest day of my life was the day they closed down.
Why is that?
Swear to God. Because it was just, WCW went from being here, right neck and neck with WWE to, all the stuff they did. They brought in all these people, doing ridiculous stuff. It was embarrassing. It was humiliating. I was in Panama City, right, and I'm down there with Shane, right? And he goes, Vince, why don't you wrestle Sting tonight? I said, I haven't wrestled in 6 months. I just had rotator surgery, right? He goes, Vince said you're going to go, Shane, I ain't wrestling tonight. And Jerry Briscoe and him was there together. I go, the last night, right? So I cut this promo with Vince back and forth that was classic, and I ended up wrestling Sting, but I wore a T-shirt. I was embarrassed. It was not me and Sting, and I mean, is what it was. We you know, we did well. He'd been hurt too. He wasn't in shape, so it was like, you know, and he's such a great athlete, and I feel like I am. You know, I'm sure I'm as good an athlete as Steve is, but I can perform, and we just were caught off guard, you know. So,
Were you aware that WCW was being sold? Obviously, you knew through grapevine that the company was going to be sold. But did you think that Bischoff at one time was going to purchase it? Because I know he had some investors lined up, and he wasn't able.
I never heard that, so I don't know.
When were you aware that WWE was now going to own WCW? Was it that day, or did you have any advance warning?
I had 1 day warning. Be in Panama City. I went.
Right. What did Vince tell you as far as the future goes with Ric Flair? Did you know that you were going to end up in WWE again?
No, they called me, Jim Ross, and they said, "When do you want to come to work?" I said, "Now." I didn't hear from them for a year. And then a year later, they called me and said, this thing where I became part owner of the company, you know, that they had a pay-per-view in Greensboro, and I'm not sure, I don't remember the storyline that well, but I showed up in Charlotte, and me and Vince were doing it again, man. I loved working with him. When he and I owned it, when we were co-owners and jealousy all the time, that was one of the best times of my life.
Easy for you, too.
Yeah, easy.
It's natural.
Yeah.
Out of all the territories that you've worked, what is your favorite territory?
Well, Charlotte in the old days.
Mid-Atlantic?
Yeah.
What sticks out the most?
Just the fact that I got my start there, I was loyal, I never moved. I'm one of the only wrestlers, I've never moved. You know, they wanted me to move to Atlanta, Turner did, and then they wanted me to move to Florida, and then I said, guys, I'm not leaving Charlotte. I mean, it's my town. It's not Cam Newton's town, it's not Michael Jordan's town. Go on record, MJ, the Bobcats got to start winning some more games before it'll be your town again.
Is that where you first met Roddy at? Was
Yeah,
Charlotte?
Yeah, 78.
Let's talk about Roddy. Good friend of yours, obviously. One of the best talkers in the business.
Yeah.
My opinion, besides yourself, one of the best heels in the business of all time.
Yeah, awesome.
And him and Hawk pretty much made the WWF in the 80s.
Yeah.
What are your early memories of a young Roddy Piper? Crazy?
You think? I can't tell you. That's the whole of the DVD. Me and Roddy had more fun. I can't even tell you. We just did the show, you know, about, right? So.
Right. Well, you want to talk about that? You want to promote that?
I can't. I want to.
Okay.
I can't.
Okay.
It's not.
Gotcha.
But good Lord, it'll get the highest rating they ever had in their life. Roddy and I can entertain.
Have you seen his son wrestle at all yet?
I have.
Okay.
Both, yeah. It's good.
He is good.
Yeah.
I watched some of his TV up Portland recently.
Yeah.
Any Roddy Piper stories at all that you want to share?
Nope.
None?
Nope. He's still married. I got so much heat over the years for getting people divorced just for hanging around me. Like I made him do it, right? I was a Ric Flair.
Right.
Right. Like, I twisted their arm. Hello.
Who was the guy that they put you in the ring with, either in WCW or WWE, that felt that didn't deserve to be in the ring with, and you had to either carry him, or a guy that you just felt like, you know, you're wasting your time and want to draw money?
I can't remember. I don't think like that. You have to remember that when I was back in WWE, I was in my 50s, right? So anything I was able to do and be involved in, I was grateful for. I never looked at it like that. I thought there were a lot of guys there that weren't at my level in terms of who I was, but they were still trying to make it, and it was my job to work with them.
Right. What are your memories of The Rock?
I love The Rock. He went to high school with he went to grade school with with my oldest daughter.
Wow.
In Charlotte, because Rocky was there.
Rocky Johnson.
Yeah. I just saw him a couple weeks. I'll see him tomorrow too. Can't wait. Love that kid.
This year at WrestleMania, what are you looking forward to the most?
Just taking my daughter and my son, you know, to share the experience.
Right.
I took them to Miami last year, and we had such a good time. And WrestleMania is the greatest sporting event in the world. I don't care what anybody says. It just is. You know, Vince flies in like 200 families from overseas, from Make-A-Wish. I mean, who does that? I mean, he spares no expense to take care of his talent and the employees, and then at the end of the whole experience, he throws the damnest party in the history of the world. Yeah.
Where do you see this business going in the next 10 years? Do you think there will be a TNA in the next 3 to 5 years with the way they're running things? And do you think there will ever be a competitor to WWE? Do you think anybody will ever come along? It's a bunch of questions.
I have no idea where TNA will be. I mean, I wish them well because I want all the guys to make money, and I like Dixie Carter personally. But nobody's going to catch WWE. They'll just get bigger and badder every year. Bigger and badder, but I mean bigger and stronger.
As far as Hunter goes, has he changed at all since he got more corporate? Excuse me.
No, not at all. Not with me personally. I mean, I hear he's running a real tight ship, but I mean, I don't see a difference. He's always been very well disciplined, and Vince had to know. I mean, Vince wouldn't have him there if he couldn't do it. I mean, he could love his son-in-law to death, but he wouldn't have Hunter, behind the wheel if Hunter couldn't pull it off.
Right. Personally, for me, one of my favorite matches was you and Harley race. I used to love watching you guys work.
Yeah.
What are your memories of some of your matches with Harley?
The best. Harley race was incredible, and I learned so much working with him. I was lucky enough to run Ray Stevens. I mean, tell me, nobody gets it. Nobody's ever seen Ray Stevens except people from that era.
Right.
Ray Stevens was the best wrestler that ever lived, bar none. God, Ray could work. Holy cow. But then the next day, I'm riding along with Harley Race, and I'm with Rhodes and Murdoch. I mean, Nick Bogwinkle, Larry Henning. Give me a look. That's where I started, man. Are you kidding me?
Sheik was with you, I guess, in your camp too, right?
Yeah.
What are your memories of Sheik?
Just a good guy, man. He just... I love the Sheik, but he's out there right now.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. But I mean, he likes being out there. But he's making money. That's all that matters. He's surviving.
Looking back at guys from your era, are you surprised at how some guys have nothing to this day, and some guys live their life too crazy? How's that ever affected you?
I don't judge anybody. Who am I to judge?
Right.
Look at the issues I've had. Good Lord, how could I judge?
What's your biggest regret?
Even
if it's not even personally.
My biggest regret is getting married the last 2 times. Let me use the restroom right back.
Definitely. Let's talk about Jim Barnett. I want to ask you about Jim Barnett. Because you have to have an impression of Jim, because everybody does a Jim Barnett impression.
Yeah.
You want to do one?
My boy.
Perfect.
The best. Treating me like God.
One of the best guys to work for?
One of the best guys I ever worked for. Phenomenal.
Were you down there when Ole was booking?
Yeah.
In Georgia?
Yeah.
You would just come in and out of the territory at that point in time, or were you there full-time basis?
I was coming in and out.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Ole as a booker from that period of time?
I think Ole was a great booker, but he would not move with the time. And he got big heat with Vince. Another story at a different time.
Right.
But
Next DVD.
He wouldn't, it's kind of like Vern, he wouldn't change with the time.
I was going to ask you about Vern, and that's definitely one of the greatest examples for a guy that didn't change with the time and pretty much killed his company.
Well, he didn't kill his company, but he just, it was clearly moving towards sports entertainment, and Vern was old school, and God, what a great guy. But I mean, you got him on. Everybody hated whatever year that came out when Vince did the thing
Taxes.
with the sports entertainment.
Right, because of the taxes, so he didn't have to pay taxes.
Because of taxes in New Jersey, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think Vern should have taken the offer from Vince for the $1 million to buy the company?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Vern wished he had done that too.
Ego?
I know they bought the library, but
Do you think it was just ego that he didn't want to sell, or?
ego, yeah. Vern's a very proud guy. Sad about his health now. My God, he's been through a lot. But his son Greg and I are very close. But I mean, it's hard as the Crockett's went from here to here, and the AWA went from here to way down. The Crockett's problem was that they were trying to compete with the WWE instead of just staying. If the Crockett's had never moved west of Chicago or St. Louis, they'd still be in business. But they wanted to go out to California and compete with Vince. Well, our TV wasn't that big. TBS wasn't that big back then.
Right. Before Vince, and you came to Vince in New York, what was the greatest territory that you worked for, promoter-wise? What was your favorite territory?
Crockett.
Crockett. Okay.
Yeah. The 80s, man. We rock and rolled, man. Good Lord. You should know that.
I know. That's part of the business. Von Erichs, down in Texas for Fritz Von Erich. Memories of, like again, we'll talk about them in detail. Just briefly, what are your memories of working in Texas?
They were awesome. I couldn't have had a better time. Michael Hayes, Terry Gordy, all those guys, Gino Hernandez. That was a great crew. I loved all the kids, but, and I've said it publicly 1,000 times, Fritz was in denial.
Too hard on the boys?
No, denial about
Oh,
their
what they were,
issues.
right, what they were doing.
Yeah, he would just, he couldn't believe it. And then, everybody kept telling him, the kids have got issues, and I don't know, I really knew I really knew Fritz, but never knew him like I knew Crockett or Vince or something like that, right? But he just, how could you not deal with that? I mean, they were doing some terrible things. I don't mean doing terrible things, but they were missing appearances and
They killed their own towns, basically, by no showing.
yeah, I mean, we were sold out, too, every night. I mean, one time Kerry came to San Antonio and had to wrestle him for an hour, and, I mean, it's just, I love that kid, but, didn't know where he was.
Did he put his boots on backwards or something, one of those shows or something? I don't know.
He came to the ring in Fort Worth with his shoes untied.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next day, they said he had 103 fever. I was on TV in Fort Worth. Give me a break.
Right. Out of the Von Erich boys, Kevin, Curry, and David, which one would you consider the better worker? Would it be David?
David.
A lot of people say that.
Yeah. David could really work. So could the other kids when they weren't, messing around.
All right. Tommy Rich. What are your thoughts on Tommy Rich?
I like Tom Rich a lot. I haven't seen him in years, but I like Tommy. We made music, man. Back with Barnett in Ohio and that, or also Tommy up there. We sold out everywhere.
Definitely. How did you get the name Nature Boy? Was it handed down to you by Buddy Rogers or
Raquel Welch,
Rock? Okay.
1978.
Sure, you get asked this question.
Los
many times.
Angeles.
Right.
She was making a movie, 2001 BC. She woke up and said, "I just have to call you Nature Boy." That's a lie.
Okay. I was going to say.
From Buddy Rogers.
Okay.
Yeah. From George Scott.
Were you friendly with Buddy Rogers? Did you get along?
Yeah, I
with him?
got on Buddy. I wrestled him twice.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually wrestled Buddy twice. Yeah, great. He walked up to me one day. He goes, kid. He walked up to me in Greensboro. He said, "Kid, there's only one diamond in this business, and you're looking at him." Because I was doing that thing, Diamonds Are Forever.
Right.
He walked up to me. He goes, he looked great too. He would have been in. I wrestled Buddy when he was my age. He was like in his 60s, and I was like, late 30s, maybe early 40s. No, that'd be late 30s, right? And he looked at me and said, "There's only one diamond in this business, and it's me, not you."
Let me ask you, how do you handle fame? How do you handle, obviously, everybody knows who you are.
Mm-hmm.
How do you sit back and just get away from it all and say, I know you're a very approachable guy. Do you ever get pissed off when people come up to you? Or
No.
something?
Unless they become too familiar. The
Right.
only thing that puts me in a bad way is when people sit down and they can start talking to me like you and I are talking.
Right.
I mean, they want to start talking about my life. I go, "Hey, let's have a drink." You want to talk about LeBron James? Good. They always want to ask about wrestling. And if I don't know somebody, that I'm not getting paid.
Right.
I mean, I can be very personal, but and then, some people think they're half tough still. Okay, really.
Right. Have you experienced that a lot?
I haven't in a long time, but I mean, once in a while, somebody wants to grab me in a headlock, just playing around in a bar. Even like, and then I go, "What are you doing, man? You're about to get killed."
Right.
Good Lord. You know what it is? They all know I can't hit them back because then I'm in jail.
Right.
Or I'm in the news.
Right. At what point did you finally say, all right, I've made it in this business?
1974.
74?
I told
Okay.
you. Yeah.
I probably asked you that.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything that you might want to say to your fans out there that you might not have had a chance to say to yet?
I love each and every one of you, and thank you for all the respect. I feel very rewarded to have performed in front of you. I hope you think that you earned, that you got everything out of me for every dollar you paid, because I worked my ass off for you. Woo.
in the future, we're definitely going to sit down with you again, and we're going to discuss your career in full. We'll talk about all the different territories, and we'll get in way more detail with the programs and guys you're involved in. This was just pretty much a Q&A type of deal with you, and definitely appreciate you being here with us.
Thank you.
It's a great interview.
Out of all, man.
Thanks, man.
Good.
TitleMatchNetwork.com